Hola clase y bienvenidos a la presentación del Participio Presente. So you might say that this looks familiar, the present participle. Yes, you've done it in the past, and it's just going to be a good time for us to review it because we're going to be learning about the past participle. So it's always good to understand one concept so that we can contrast it with another one. Let's take a look. Let's get out our notes. Saquen los apuntes y prepararse para escribir. Bueno, vamos a empezar con el participio. El participio muestra una acción que continúa. That means that it shows a continuous action. And we'll show you how to do that in a little bit with an entire sentence. Let's learn how to form it first. Para formar el presente del participio, añade, which means add, ando a la raíz de los verbos ar y yendo a la raíz de los verbos er e ir. So essentially, we have only two endings that we really have to worry about. As you can see right here in this chart, the verb cantar is an AR verb. So which ending would we use? Would we use the yendo or would we use the ando? Well, since it's an AR verb, we're going to use the ando. And we get cantando. So go ahead and write that into your grid. The next verb we're going to look at is the verb correr, to run. So that's an ER verb, so we're going to look for this yendo ending. Chop off that ER and you get corriendo, as in, el perro está corriendo por el parque. The third verb we have down here is escribir. All we do is chop off the IR and add the yendo ending. Right down here, chop off the IR, and what do we get? Escribiendo. Los estudiantes están escribiendo los apuntes. Gracias por escribir. Bueno, vamos a continuar. We've got some special cases, so let's take a look at those right now. Los verbos ir, so those are IR verbs, only IR verbs. So let's get the ER and the AR verbs out of our mind. Que tiene cambio de raíz en la tercera persona en el pretérito, como él, ella, usted, those are the subjects for the third person, también cambian en el presente del participio. Whoa, stop the madness. Let's see what that is. So, do you guys remember your IR stem changing verbs in the preterite? If you don't, we have 5 right here, not 6. We have 5 right here that I'm going to show you. So let me remind you what those IR stem changing verbs look like in the preterite. What happens to that O in the verb dormir? Think back. This is what happens to the verb dormir. It goes to dormió. The O changes to U. So if the O changes to U in the preterite, it's also going to change to U in the present participle. And you get durmiendo, such as los estudiantes nunca están durmiendo durante la clase. They are never sleeping in class. And the next one, the verb pedir, that means to ask for. So pedir in the preterite, the E changes to I, just like this. E goes to I. Él pidió la hamburguesa. He ordered the hamburger. So that means it's going to go to pidiendo. The ending stays the same, it's just the stem that changes. The next verb is the verb decir. So it's one of those bunny foo-foo verbs that are called the super irregulars. But it's like a stem change because the E is going to go to I, just like this. Él me dijo la verdad, meaning he told me the truth. So if E goes to I, that's right, we've got the verb diciendo. Or actually the present participle, right? And the next verb, reír, which is to laugh, which we do that all the time in class. I can say, la clase de Señora Mosby rió mucho el otro día. So Mrs. Mosby's class laughed quite a bit the other day. What's new? And we have riendo. All right, for our last verb, divertir, our stem that changes is the E. So that E, just like all the other E's, are going to go to I. And it looks like this. Divirtió. La clase de Señora Mosby se divirtió mucho. And that is to have fun. And that's what we're doing right now. Perfecto. Divirtiendo. All right, let's go on to the next spot. And we're going to talk about some double vowel verbs that have changes. Well, it's only a one-letter change. Just like we had an E change to an I and an O change to U, our double vowels are going to change to a Y. Let's see how this works. Los verbos ir, as in to go, y oír, as in to hear, y los verbos que terminan en AER, EER y UIR tienen presentes del participio que terminan en yendo. So essentially, all the double vowel verbs are going to change to Y. Most double vowel verbs, just the ones that we're going to deal with. And also the verb ir. Ir is not a double vowel, it's just two letters. And all you would have to do for ir is just eliminate ir, and then you just have yendo. So you just keep that right there. That's your present participle for ir. It's not used very often. Most Spanish speakers, when they want to say I'm going to the store, they're just going to say voy a la tienda. They don't normally use yendo. But here and now, it is used. Okay, the next verb is oír, which is to hear. So we have to take off that ending and we add our yendo, which gets us to oyendo. Next verb, caer, to fall. If we want to say el árbol está cayendo, the tree is falling, what are we going to do? We're going to have to take off that ending and we're going to add yendo, which gives us cayendo. Luego, el verbo leer. For the verb leer, we're just going to take off that ending and then we have the Y, leyendo. Los estudiantes están leyendo hoy durante la clase, porque es leer lunes. Próximo es el verbo destruir. Destruir is one of those huir verbs, and the huir verbs also have a Y ending, and that is going to be destruyendo. El terremoto está destruyendo la ciudad. Okay? The earthquake is destroying the city. Next, el presente del participio se usa con una forma del verbo estar para formar el presente progresivo. So in order to form that tense, it is a tense, the present progressive, we have to use a second verb. And this makes it a compound tense. You need two verbs in order for this to make sense. So let's see what that looks like. No me molestes. Estoy leyendo. It's like, don't bother me, I'm reading right now. It's what I'm doing at this moment. Next example. Estábamos durmiendo cuando llamaste. We were sleeping when you called. That was what we were doing at a specific time. And that's what I was responding to that person. They said, what were you doing when I called you? Estábamos durmiendo. So let's look at reflexive pronouns, direct and indirect object pronouns. Where do we put those when we talk in the present or past progressive? Let's see. Los pronombres reflexivos o de complemento pueden ser escritos antes de la forma del verbo estar o después del presente del participio. What does that mean? Well, it can go before the verb estar or it can go after the present participle. So if you choose to do that, si lo escribes al final del participio, necesitas un acento. So some people don't like to deal with accents, so they just prefer to put it right before the verb estar. Let's look at some examples. Ahora me estoy bañando. This is an example of putting the pronoun before the verb estar. Or you could say, estoy bañándome, and attach to the present participle. If you do that, you have to then count 3 syllables back in order for the sound to make any sense. So what we're going to see right here is the verb bañándome, and you're going to say me, do, an. That's 3 syllables. You count 1, 2, 3, and that's where you put the accent. This one right here, está ayudándolas. Let's count 3 back to see where we put that accent. Las, do, and ando. So there you go. 1, 2, 3. There's the accent. Or just put it before the verb estar. Las está ayudando. Let's do some practice. Escribe la oración correctamente que describe lo que está haciendo cada persona. I want to know what each of these people are doing. So the first one is Maria. ¿Qué está haciendo Maria? Maria, and you can pause it and write down your answers and then take a look at the answer after you've written it down, just to make sure you understand it. Maria está ayudando a otro estudiante. All right, so we have the verb estar to show what she is, and this is the doing part, helping another student. Carlos y Juan. Again, you guys can pause this and write down your answer and then check it. Carlos y Juan están recogiendo los papeles del piso. Número 3. ¿Qué está haciendo Manuel? Again, you guys can pause. Manuel está limpiando su escritorio. He's a good guy. He's cleaning up his room. Oh, excuse me, his desk. Number 4. Leer el libro de español. Ah, es mi libro favorito, el libro de español. ¿Sí? Margarita está leyendo el libro de español. Ten cuidado, which is be careful because you have that Y because it's a double vowel verb. All right, number 5 is another regular, it's not irregular, in the present progressive. Carmen y yo, which also means nosotros, estamos poniendo nuestras cosas en la mochila. All right, that's the end of our practice. And tomorrow, you guys will be all ready to apply what you have learned today and use it. And nos vamos a divertir mucho. Hasta luego. Nos vemos mañana. Chao.